Alright, so I'm going to be doing a VOD review for Risk and Zarya player. I don't know if you're a Zarya main, Zarya one trick. I'm just going to assume, for the sake of this replay, that you're only playing Zarya. It really doesn't make that much of a difference, but you know, it is what it is, I guess, right? You say here you used to be Grandmaster in Overwatch 1, but you quit as soon as Overwatch 2 came out. And I'll say that Overwatch 2, I think, is what, like 2.5, 2.5 years old now. So, like, the player base is going to get better just by virtue of actively playing the game, right? It's not like you took like a month off and like the game's the same. You probably took like 2.5 years off or so, and the game's like completely different now, right? It's not like there's been zero balance changes, like they've removed the tank. Not saying you don't know this stuff, but like my point is there've been like significant balance changes, and not just like, oh, Zarya does 5% more damage per second now or something like that, right? Yeah, I lost an entire tank, and like the off tank and main tank role have been kind of coalesced into one, or like kind of like that, and also split amongst like DPS and support. So yeah, just keep that in mind. After this long of a break and this much of like a switch up in terms of like the game, I would not expect to be able to come back and perform the same, right? Like, yeah. Um, and also, since you're coming from console, the common, I guess, wisdom is that console ranks are roughly like a rank below where they are on PC. The game's just more competitive on PC. Um, I think partially because like the culture is just more competitive, right? And partially because like everyone's mechanics are like just significantly better on PC, right? Like, I'm not really a big fan of like controllers, but like I've occasionally played Overwatch on console in like the past year or so, and like the competition. I've also done like VOD reviews for like console players as well, and I can just tell like I'd have to like at least partially agree with the sentiment that console is roughly like a rank below where you'd expect to be on PC, right? So like if you're like a diamond on console, I'd expect to be roughly plat on PC, right? So all in all, like this, you don't really look too out of place in this lobby, right? Um, yeah, so just getting that out of the way, right? These are just things I'd expect to be the case. Um, Anyways, I think your primary issues right now are that you're not playing your bubbles well enough. I'll explain this more in detail as we get into the replay. I think you're not trying to get charge early enough, right? And you're not using your bubbles once you have charge to like actively push someone that's killable, right? And you often are like caught out with zero bubbles, and you're like putting yourself in these positions where you're very easy to run over, right? So like when you have two bubbles and zero charge, um, you gotta play to get charge, right? When you have high charge but no bubbles, you still have to play safe and just typically like play far away and beam the enemy back or the front line or whatever, right? And when you have bubbles and high charge, these are positions or timings where you can look to actively like pressure someone that's out of position. Like for example, someone uses a cooldown or someone like extends too far beyond cover, and like look for picks and ways to like get like your team the advantage in that way, right? And you're not doing that enough, right? Secondly, your cover usage needs to be better, right? You're in the open a lot, and Zarya's a fairly frail poke tank, or like, yeah, I'd say that. Well, regardless of what you want to call her exactly, she's fairly frail, right? If you get caught in the open, um, you're just going to die like way more often than you are now, especially as you rank up, right? These people are not counting your bubbles at all, and they're like multiple opportunities. I watched about half this replay where like against better players, like in grandmaster lobbies, you would have just like instantly died like over and over again by doing what you're doing right now, right? And you're kind of getting away with it because these players aren't like paying attention. um yeah, and cover usage, like a part of it's like because your bubbles could be better, and part of it's because you're just taking too much damage unnecessarily when like you just be playing a corner somewhere and just beaming down people that push into you until you have resources to actively push someone else, right? Thirdly, um let's see, how do I phrase this? Oh yeah, your target priority needs to be better. You're just beaming the tank a lot when you have opportunities to like beam someone else, right? And I'll just show you this in the replay, just like how often this happens, right? Tanks are like almost indestructible, especially like brawler tanks in this game, like Ramatra, Ryan, like Orisa, those kind of tanks, right? When they have all their cooldowns and they're just cycling their cooldowns decently, they're like almost impossible to kill just through damage jumping alone, right? You need to do more than that. So you should be looking to punish like his backline that overextends instead of just beaming him, unless you have no other option, right? So that being said, we'll get into the replay here. It's okay. Okay. I do think you're floating, right? On Zarya, you really want to be playing your max range, right? And max range on Zarya, you could probably play like almost like 1.5 times further back than you are now and still do the exact same thing. But you'll notice if you play further back, you have cover with the bot. This might be a little too far, right? But you have easier time getting cover here. You can take cover here, for example, right? So like you don't just get spammed out and force out all your team's resources just from doing something like this, right? Oh, you really want to use your range on Zarya like this? Like, yeah, you'll get charged. But if these people are more aware, and like for example your team trolls or something, they'll just run into you, right? Because they just saw you waste a bubble in the middle of their face, right? And if they, like for example, this is gonna happen right now, they pick your Reaper for overextending too early. They pick your Reaper and then they just literally run into you and there's nothing you can do because you're just too close and not utilizing your range, right? It's still good that you got charged, but you should have been playing like closer to cover. And for example, trying to control the mid here. And if no one's like fighting the midpoint, then you just rotate over here, for example, right? Try to control like this longer angle here, right? Because you still have cover and you can still bait charge by shooting someone that's not the tank in that position, right? I know that's probably a lot to take in, but like I'm sure you can see just by playing close. I mean, unfortunately, you're Reaper fed. He shouldn't have done that. But they definitely could have punished you way more than they did right there, right? Like, I'll show you from this Torb's perspective, perhaps. He's just not paying attention. Like, he should know that you had 0 bubbles right there, and he just, like, ran away. Whereas, he should have just been able to literally just stand, right here, more or less, and just shoot you, and, like, you literally can't do anything about it, and now your supports are forced to tank you, instead of tanking your Genji, and, like, you either die, or like your Genji gets punished for that too, right? And that's just from one person, right? If their tank and cast are paying attention, you could have like gotten instantly focused and died for that. Regardless, this is an okay position, right? You have good charge and a bubble. Once you have like the charge and a bubble, right? It's unfortunate. Couldn't hear that cast, I assume. When you're down 1 though, you should instinctually try and be playing back. Like you should just play this corner, right? Wait for someone to overextend like this cast. And be using your bubbles to like push him right now, right? If this guy didn't catch you off guard, because if you're just playing like you were down 1 to begin with, right? He wouldn't have caught you off guard. And the moment he like does that, you just pop a bubble, walk into him, and he dies, right? He just can't like do that against a high turret. Yeah, you get caught off guard by this Torb. It's alright, you're still forcing these people away. Again, right? You need to find cover here. They're just not shooting you at all. And you're just kind of like, you see you're eating a ton of damage. This is totally unnecessary. What you could have done for cover is gave up space, for example, go this way. You could have backed up earlier on this bus and played like in here, for example, right? You could have like walked around, rotated through here, for example, right? You have to keep in mind you're still down your Reaper, right? He literally just got back, so they're going to be looking to like full push you anyways, so there's no reason not to be like backing off a bit here in the first place. See, like again, this is another position where they could just be hard pushing you because you had no bubbles there. Again, right, don't waste a bubble here. You're already down 2. Right, you just got to get out and wait for someone to overextend, right? Like what I'd be doing in this position is perhaps like falling back this way, right? Because better teams will be able to like chase you down this way and kill you. Like baiting, like falling back this way, right? Because you know someone has to still push the bot. And seeing if like a single DPS overextends in this room and you just like pop bubble and you beam them, right? Now you just don't have a bubble. To like catch someone that overextends, right? Like look how good something would be in this position. Right there. It's good here, right? He overextends. You're right, just keep going. You know they have a Mercy and they're gonna like look to res that. You know, again, at least one person has to be on bot. And you haven't seen their tank, so you know it's their tank, right? And you just saw the 2 supports are here. So I'd feel fairly comfortable literally just like killing the cast, playing this cover here, right? Because you just saw your Juno was above too, right? I think you saw your Reapers in this room earlier, right? So you're not like totally alone. Just play this corner here and just don't give up space, because like without the cast, the Mercy is like not too valuable, right? And just beam her down when she tries to go for the res. Unfortunate. Once she gets the res, you can't go for this stuff though, right? Like, again, kind of 4, no bubbles. It's a big grab in terms of numbers, but the problem is they have all their cooldowns, all their defensive cooldowns, right? Because you literally haven't engaged with the tank in like the last 20 seconds, right? So like they're just going to be able to easily block it, deny your value completely. Here, right? No bubbles, don't push, right? I will say, well, you did have a bubble, but you're pushing too far beyond the cover, right? When you do stuff like this, you see like no one can like easily heal you, right? The Weaver can't get over here fast enough, and you see the Juno by doing this, you're putting the Juno in range of like being like picked off by the cast. Whereas if you literally just like paid a bit more patient, played cover, and just sat here, right? You wouldn't be able to kill this guy anyways because he's too far, but you wouldn't be taking all this damage, and you'd be able to just push the bot and just utilize the fact that you do way more damage than the enemy tank in this position to open up like an opportunity for your team, right? Now you're just getting kind of pushed away for free because you did that, right? Don't bother shooting the Valkyrie Mercy, in my opinion. She's like impossible to kill unless you have like a hard stun, so. I'm sure you can see that wasn't really a great bubble, because like you're like consistently using bubbles kind of as a substitute for cover, I think, right? Like if you literally just play right here, for example, like you don't want to play like point blank against a Ramatra, what you can do for your team is force an angle over here, right? So this way the Ramatra can't shield 2 places at once, right? He has to either shield your team or shield you, right? Or if he like goes into his punch mode, he can only like block one direction at one time. And you see when you walk here, you can only get shot by the Ramatra, but he can get shot from like all angles by your team, right? And that's kind of how like you force people away, Zarya. Unfortunate. Probably should have hit that. That's okay though. Here, back off, right? If they're using Coalescence, you're just not going to be able to kill anyone, unfortunately, right? I'm sure you can see, like, look how low you get. Fortunately, your Weaver has pull. But this is just because you're not playing cover, and you continue aggressing without bubble, right? You see, like, how you're getting punished for this. Probably even accidentally, right? These players have not been, like, counting your bubbles at all this game. And they're just probably, like, accidentally punishing you just because you're making the mistake of running into them without your resources, right? When you have no bubbles, you just gotta play safe and wait for someone to overextend. I will say, right? This guy throws up a shield. What you could do instead is just literally walk over here and just like beam his backline, right? No, there's no use in like shooting the shield. Alternatively, obviously, you could just be shooting this cast that's behind you. My audio is like really low right now, so I'm having a hard time hearing this, unfortunately. So you're right. When you pop orbit, I don't know how familiar you are with this ult because I know she's kind of a new character. It heals you for like 80-ish health per second, something crazy like that. So you can literally just walk beyond this Ramatra and just like start beaming his backline, right? You have a lot of healing, and you do extra damage in it too, and you have a bubble, right? So like this is not the character you want to engage with. Again, better targets. You had a lot of opportunities to go for better targets, right? I'll rewind that. Right here, right? Literally just walk past this guy. When you have the opportunity to do so as tank, and you have like the resources to do so, just ignore the enemy tank, right? Like if you just walk in, shoot away the Moira, right? Force her fade, turn the Mercy, shoot the Mercy, force her away, and then like shoot the Torb, right? You're not gonna die because you have a lot of healing, right? And like if you really need to, you can come over here, get cover from everyone else except the Ramatra, and just shoot his back or whatever. Or, you know, play over here. It doesn't really matter. Just force an angle that way. And just, like, if he decides to pop ult in your team, you just, like, kill the rest of his team or turn for him and force him to block or just die immediately. That's kind of how, like, you stop him. Especially at Zarya, right? See, because you wasted all your time shooting the Ramatra, he's, like, gets all of his armor back because when he pops ult, he gets his armor back. More or less, right? And he's now able to get double tanked by his supports because you didn't pressure them at all. You had the opportunity to do so. You see, like, it just takes forever to kill him. Unfortunately, like, your DPS aren't with you. I think your Genshu's dead, so. Unfortunate, Reaper feeds again. You could be doing a bit more here. That's okay though, right? In this position, you know you're down your Reaper. You could be just baiting for charge right now. Alternatively, this is way riskier. You could be rotating through here to try to look for like a pick on their back line to like even the playing field, right? Those are two like options you have. I don't think either or is necessarily the wrong option, but I think both options, right? Either trying to go for a flank to get a pick or like baiting for charge because you have downtime now anyways, are just better than kind of just sitting in the open and just not doing anything. Right, ignore the turret, right? The cast literally just rolled into your face, right? Just beam this guy, because you get all charge and you force him away, right? Like this turret is kind of like useless for you. It just gives you charge, and it's like it's never gonna kill you, right? Like I guess you could say it helps your Genji. Like you see, it's like, I mean, you could do the exact same anything just from beaming these people in the first place, right? Okay, this is better, right? You know they had no shield, so it's fine. Unfortunate. Wasn't necessary. Yup, exciting stuff. Speed forward a little. Again, right, you're drifting from cover, right? You should be thinking about tank, especially on Zarya, is like, what position am I going to play, right? So if you're expecting people, I mean, I think you said this is like your second time on this map, so that's okay, right? It's gonna take time to learn where they're gonna come from. But ideally, you want to be predicting where people are going to come from and be in a position to shoot them as they walk in, right? So like if you're predicting they're going to come from like this room down here, you set up, for example, around this cover, like, I don't know, like here, for example, right? Or I don't know, like up here on this bus. So if you get shot, you just easily break LOS this way, or like around this bus here, right? Or like around here. Like you see how many options you have if you're predicting it come from here. But you see now you're just kind of like in the open. And now bubbles are gonna be forced out, and you just won't be able to aggress. If they play that a little bit better, right? Like they just kind of ran into you for no reason. Again, right? You have better targets. Literally just ignore this guy, right? And if you don't want to ignore him, what you should be doing, because you just got to pick on the cast, is walking up here, coming over here, coming behind the Ramatra and shooting him down, right? Like imagine the cast wasn't here, you're never gonna die here, right? Because you killed the cast, and you could force like the Mercy away because you just beam her if she goes for the res. And now the Ramatra can't block two angles at one time, right? Those are like things you need to look for when you have bubbles in charge. Again, right? When you already have high charge, do not waste bubbles like this, right? You don't need to stay at 100% charge. This is just like completely stopping you from being able to actually push your back line. If these players are better, you'd be dead. They're just not paying attention. Again, right? You see, their entire team's just in the open here, right? Like, look how bad their positioning is right now, right? If you literally just played your positioning a bit better, like cover a bit better, like for example, rotated over here. See, if you start getting hit, you just literally take cover here, so the only person can shoot you is a Ramatra. And Ramatra is like not a tank that can kill you through healing. So if you would sit here, burn his back line, you'll be zoning out his entire team. And if he wants to stay here to like walk over and do this, shoot you like this, you see it exposes him to the rest of your back line. He's just gonna explode for doing that, right? And you can just play positioning and just like force him away that way, right? There's no reason to be like running into people when you could be using your range, right? Right, you see you're like giving them a million opportunities to turn the fight because you're just shooting the Ramatra when there are a lot of better targets available, right? Part of it's target priority, and part of it's just you're just kind of blowing your bubbles when it's not necessary, and like you're not giving yourself the opportunity to actually push them up. Right? Okay, good. Yep, it's fine. It's fine. Yep. You're still down to DPS, so it's perfectly okay. Or I think you just came back right there, so it's an okay grab. Again, Zarya, I would definitely be looking to like walk forward and try to get my charge up. Here, ignore your soldier, right? You know they don't have like a one-shot character. So like what you should be doing when you see your soldier going in is like walking up with him, for example, right here, and like hard pushing the cast, right? Because he's clearly overextended, right? Like the rest of his team's all the way back in spawn. So you like can stop your soldier from getting shot by pushing the enemy team and forcing the cast to shoot you or just run them over, right? That's like a more reliable way of getting charge, especially against a team that has like not too many projectiles, or like not too many like one shots in their team, than just like hard looking at your DPS. Right, because you weren't aggressive, now the cast just rolls in and forces your soldier off the angle, right? This is okay. No real reason to back up, right? Like, they just let me show you how goofy this looks, right? Like, you just lost a lot of uptime here for no reason. So pretty good bubble here, right? Not outstanding, but you see like this Torb uses his cooldown and literally doesn't hit you like any at all without like hitting your bubble, right? And just literally runs away from you, right? Like, what if instead of running back to your team, you literally just sat on this corner right here and just like helped your soldier kill the Mercy, or like force the Mercy away, then start beaming this Torb or whatever, right? Like, you have a lot of options here instead of like turning back for your team. Like, what are you gonna? The problem is when you turn back, what are you gonna do from this position here, right? Like, there's literally nothing you can do except sit back and let them shoot your backline, right? Because you just don't have the range to contest them. So you might as well like push the corner and force these people at the very least away. So like you're like taking no resources from your team, taking the 1v2 and allowing your team to do whatever they want to like the people high ground, right? Like, you just don't get any value here, right? Okay, they drop. It's fine, right? Okay, this is pretty good, right? That's what you want to do, right? You see like how much more valuable it was when you just like ignored the Ramatra, just ran for his backline, right? Yep, it's good, right? That's basically what you want to do. Could have been a little cleaner. Okay, unfortunate. That was completely unnecessary. Nice. Okay, yep. That was a pretty good fight, right? You see, like, you literally ignored the Ramatra when he ulted. I mean, obviously, at the beginning of the fight, you could have played a little bit better, right? But, like, fundamentally, that's what you want to be doing, right? There's a lot of stuff I can nitpick there. Yeah, that's fine, right? Don't bubble against the Moira. Yeah, she'll never give you charge, so. Here, you can still play a little more aggressive, right? Unfortunately, you wasted the bubble on the Moira. But, like, my point is, their tank just was, like, respawning right there, right? So, this is fine, right? Okay, what in the world? Okay, good, right? I have no clue what that was. Okay, I'm good. Just reload, just literally. Okay, this is fine. I thought you were gonna go for the matcha. Again, right, when you're bubble, I think you just need a better like better timing for your like when your bubble's gonna expire. But that's okay, right? Cover could have been better, right? I'll say, like, when you watch really good Zaryas play, when they have bubble, they'll just like literally stand still in a position, right? And just like try to LOS anyone except who they're trying to shoot, and just literally stand here and do their best to track them, right? Because they don't need to move, because they know they're taking an angle where they don't need to move, right? Because they can basically force damage from only one angle. So like they're not actually in danger of dying, even if they stand still and just like don't move, right? Again, you're not like utilizing your range. Let me try to get like a freeze frame of like just to show you how far your beam goes beyond the cast, right? Like that's, let me try to, that's an additional like third of the beam you're not using, which if you literally just stood here, right, and just like beamed them, right, you have way better cover. And you're not like going to miss them because you can literally, you see like your beam is going further, right? And if like you're playing here, for example, you have a better angle just to shoot him here, right? You can like keep chasing him up here, right? Completely ignore the Ramatra, and if he turns for you, that means your team can just blow him up from the back, right? So, but still, like, that's fundamentally what you want to be doing, right? You had a bubble, you had charge, and you're just like hard punishing this guy for overextending. Fortunate, right? Again, cover usage here, big prop. You see, now you're caught out because you weren't playing cover. Hopefully you don't die here. Okay, nice. See, look, I'm sure you can see like how risky that was. You probably die here for it. The entire team dies for it. Okay. Like, because your cover usage was really sloppy here. Let me turn back a little. Right? There's no reason, again, to not be using your range. There's no reason for you to be here instead of, for example, like here, right? You can see you can literally still shoot this guy if you really wanted to. If you had time, I don't think you do. You can rotate over here because you have a lot more cover, right? And you still have a way out through this way, right? And again, obviously, if you're playing like here, you can literally just turn away, right? And now no one can shoot you. Because you're like not playing your cover, now you get like blindsided because you put yourself in the middle of the enemy team and you're just gonna like cause your entire team to die. Just keep back in here. Yeah, I'm good. No need to bubble that guy that early. He was out of LOS. Ignore that guy, right? Unfortunate. Should have reloaded before that. But the main problem here is you're just shooting the Ramacha, right? Again, target priority. Let me rewind that just to show you, right? Again, you have the Mercy to shoot. Like literally, if you just look up, you can shoot the Mercy. You can just play the corner until you get your bubble. You can even just solo ult this Torb, right? It really doesn't matter. You don't want to ult like the tank and then just shoot the tank, right? See, like he's just getting sustained because this guy can just live forever, right? You just need to get on their back line when you have the charge and bubbles to do so. Again, right, don't waste bubbles pushing the tank. So you just kind of die for free, right? Oh, you get pulled. Just keep backing, right? Play your cover. I would have been preemptively looking at like that like fast rotation here, right? Because they know that you're down on numbers and down on cooldowns. So I would be preemptively aiming at this angle here to try to catch like that Torb that overextends, for example, right? That's kind of a more of an advanced thing, but if you want to rank up, that's kind of what you should be looking for, right? Again, right, you're still down to support. I'd be very careful doing this. I wouldn't bubble there until like you start getting close to the corner, right? The problem is they could like bust the bubble really early, and like hard punch. Nice kill. Again, right, play your cover. Probably getting sick of hearing it, but like you see, like because you're not playing cover, not playing your range, and like you're overextending without bubbles, you're just putting yourself. Let me rewind and show you from like an overhead perspective, right? What you're doing. This isn't far back enough, I don't think. Okay, so this seems really small, but you see you're walking in like this. You know your Weaver's dead because he literally just died, right? And you see like your soldier cannot get over fast enough beyond this corner to do like help you at all with shooting anyone, right? Except the tank. Genji's kind of the same, right? You see like everyone's just kiting you this way. And like because you're taking the engage around this corner and just kind of like using the bubble. I mean, this time you get the Moira, which is okay, but yeah, I think you do it in a few seconds here. And it's the same, it's fundamentally the same problem, right? Okay. Right here, right, like this again, right? You see you're forcing your team to like, this guy should be playing in a better position, honestly. But now your Weaver can't heal you, for example, right? Maybe he can barely. Okay, he can, but like I'm sure you can see like how risky this is. And you're just like running in with a bubble to shoot the tank, right? And forcing your team to like play really aggressively for no reason. Whereas, I guess my point is, like, if you just let them walk or played your corner a bit better, you can let your Weaver and your Soldier, like, take better positioning, for example, over here, where they're a lot safer, right? And they have a much better angle. For example, your Soldier, like, if he's here, like, look how much better his cover here is. Look how much better his angle is, too, right? Like, he can just wide peek here, for example. And, like, there's nothing they can do, right? And your Weaver doesn't even have to peek the enemy team to heal, which he has to now because you're doing stuff like this. Use a bubble to just walk in, like, trying to kill the turret. But you literally could have just not even engaged with the turret if you literally just sat here and literally did nothing, right? Like sometimes doing stuff like that and overextending on tank will like put yourself in positions like that and pull down supers unnecessarily. And now you can't hold the corner because you did that. Like that series of plays where you just wasted your bubbles and overextended, kind of like put you in a really bad spot. Nice. That guy's crazy. Yup. Trees cover, right? Ignore this guy, there's literally nothing you can do to kill him fast enough, right? You're looking to bubble your teammates too much, but you know this Mercy's been like going for these reses all game. You'd be better off just hoping your Weaver has a cooldowns to like avoid this guy, which he's pretty much gonna have all the time, like pedal platform and his jump or whatever on really short cooldowns. So he can kite Ramatra fairly well. Just play the front line and just look to deny the Mercy's res, right? Like their back line, if you get rid of their DPS, it's absolutely atrocious, right? Like Mercy Moira is never gonna kill you. Unless your team like hard trolls, right? So like once their DPS are dead, just like literally ignore the Ramatra and kill everyone else. You're gonna win the trade just because you don't have an awful backline. It's fine, right? Cover could have been a lot better there though, right? Like no reason literally to run in the open to do that. Now you're forcing your support to kill you instead of your own DPS. It's okay. I haven't really talked about the perks. Yeah, then I don't think they're that important, especially right now.
60 seconds remaining.
I will say, like, I think you chose the penetrating beam one, which I like a lot. But I will say against their comp, maybe like going with the projected bubble is good because you actually have someone to like use it on, right? Like your Genji can get a lot of value out of it, but you'll see a lot of times you'll get like a comp where like it doesn't really help. And I just like I don't think like the penetrating beam is outstanding, but it can definitely be very useful. And obviously if you don't have like a person to bubble, like you just pick it every time. So just something to consider in the future. That guy was safe, no reason to bubble him, right? I kind of get it was kind of risky. Like you should have known he was like really tucked away in that corner. So. When your team's in cover, don't bubble. Right? It's okay to back up here. Just back, right? Okay, good. I don't know if you noticed that. The Moira literally just faded in front of your face, right? Like, what was that, right? She just faded in the open. Just beam her instead of looking at the tank again, right? That was kind of hard to catch, so I don't really fault you that one too much. Keep shooting the Torb, right? No reason to give up uptime there, right? Okay, at this position, you just kind of have to back. Dumb, too many. You definitely could have killed that Torb though, right? I think being a little bit more aware of stuff like for that. No. I don't know if you use a headset. I actually don't when I play. I don't find it necessary just because I have a lot of game sense without it. I have a lot of time playing without it, and it's not like I still can't hear anything. But I still am like peeking a lot and like catching people when they make rotations. Right? You're just kind of like looking at a wall a lot of times. It's kind of like screwing over your awareness. Just another small tip. Again, right? No reason to be running in. This is more like exemplary of like how you're just like turning these corners for no reason, right? Like there's literally no reason. You don't have to stop them at 93.18 meters. You have to stop them before they get to your like this checkpoint here. If you really just sit here and force them to peek you see like if they peek anywhere on this line here, you can just literally sit on the corner AFK and just beam whoever you want if they try to push forward, right? And your team can take any positioning here they want, right? And just do whatever they want from this position. And it doesn't force your supports to like run all the way on the open to heal you, right? You just keep doing this stuff when you're not playing cover, which forces your team in a really bad spot, right? Yeah, right. And you have no bubbles here, and just like this is incredibly dangerous, right? They could have just played to run you over there. Okay, good bubble, right? Unfortunately, no one shot him, but that's okay. It's still valuable. Okay, so I'll reiterate, right? Bubble usage, right? This is a big problem for you. You're consistently finding yourself too far forward with 0 bubbles, and you're just not getting punished by these players, right? I assure you, when you rank up, you'll like. I think you probably would have died like every single time, right? Obviously, I'm like much higher rank, so like the bubble tracking is just better, but that's just something you have to get down, right? And I kind of like highlighted what you want to be generally speaking, using your bubbles to accomplish, or like what like you are allowed to do based on your bubble counts, right? Earlier on, so yeah, just keep that in mind, right? And I guess as an addition to this, you really want to be playing your range on Zarya more, right? You have a really long range for a tank. Like for example, your range is 15 meters. Ramatra's range is only 8, right? When it's in this is Nemesis form. Obviously in his staff form it's way longer, but way less consistent than you. I'm sure you can like imagine like your beam can just like kill people in like a second and a half, and a Ramatra is like never gonna do that consistently, right? So yeah, like Zarya just actually has a pretty good range for a tank. Secondly, right, cover usage. You're just kind of running in the open, overextending beyond these corners a lot, and forcing out your bubbles when like you don't have the like an actual like reason for using them except not to die, right? And there's like first 2 points really go hand in hand. I'm sure you can see from that explanation why that's the case, right? Um, Again, third, right? Your target priority needs some work, right? When you have the opportunity to ignore the tank, especially as a high charge Zarya, you want to do it every single time, right? More or less every single time, just because your DPS is just like a million times, or a bit of a hyperbole, but way higher than every other tank, right? So like Ramatra maybe does like 80-ish damage per second in his Nemesis form, right? That's like the only way he's gonna consistently win fights. But you do like I don't know, like 180, like literally over 2 times the damage per second that Ramatra does when you're high charge, right? So yeah, just keep that in mind. You're just way better at trading backlines as long as your positioning is good, right? And your high charge, obviously, right? So you can afford to just let your teammates kite the enemy tank and just beam the enemy team's backline just because your damage is just way better, right? And again, if you don't have the opportunity to shoot anyone in the backline, just play slow, play your corner, and burn the enemy tank away from the corner to force out cooldowns so you can actually walk on someone else that overextends, right? I will add a bit of self promotion. I wouldn't consider myself like an outstanding Zarya player by any means. But I think if I really wanted to, I could at least, yeah, I could one trick Zarya to like Masters. I don't know exactly where. Um, yeah, my point is I have a fairly short Zarya gameplay guide on this channel, that may help you just to, like give you an idea of when I use my bubbles and like what I'm looking for in a fight to to like when for like reasons for why I push and why I use bubbles, right? I explained it in this video alone, but maybe like seeing them actually demonstrated will show you like good versus bad examples of like when you want to be looking for these engagement times, right? So I hope this helps.